Hi, I'm Joe Steier, and recently I attended a healthcare conference, and the keynote speaker was Speaker of the House Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was the keynote speaker, and he went through some topics I wanted to share with you today. And after he finished the speech, I spent some time with him, and he said, "What do you think? Do you agree?" And I thought I'd tell you firsthand, do I agree or not? So Newt laid out a framework about what he sees the future around the healthcare system for us clearly. And I think the thing that stuck out on his 4-point plan was he talked a lot about technology, and that he felt like that a lot of the government hadn't addressed the technology advances going on because of how fast the rate of change is. Think about technology and how we're changing our lives on technology. And today, as I look around at other healthcare providers, CEOs, entrepreneurship, think tanks, I'm already seeing new technologies from Newt's talk that are out there that can transform our healthcare system. So I would tell you, I'd never bet against the American system. I think the technology speed in this country is mind-blowing, and we're going to see some change and innovation that can really transform healthcare in the U.S. that we never thought possible. Secondly, I think that was really clear, he talked about our ability to not always be domesticated, but be international thinkers. Talked about the growth of India and China, not just as economic powers, but more as best practice states and countries, organizations. So we identified some things from Newt's talk already going on in India, Puerto Rico, China, and we're already thinking about, as healthcare leaders, how do we partner and start bringing in best practices beyond just our U.S. borders, but think about healthcare globally, but acting locally was a key point. Third thing I think that was very interesting that Newt spent time talking about was the government's inability to sustain itself. I think historically, not speaking politics, the government may take on obligations that are too big. So he talked about all of us, citizens, leaders, consumers, need to take a more active role because of government sustainability. He even talked about people found bankruptcy, cities, states, that from sustainability, they can't continue to operate the way they are. So I thought a lot about that. What do we do about the healthcare system? How do we take more of it back? How's the private sector address this to make our government more sustainable? So I think there's a great opportunity for all of us as citizens and leaders to address that. Lastly, he talked about the power of the consumer. I would tell you today, there's no question, we're seeing all businesses, the consumers are dominating the American landscape. I think they're coming to healthcare at a speed we never thought possible. So I believe the healthcare system's got to do an incredibly different job and a much deeper job around quality to make the healthcare experience a different experience in the country. So I think his comments around transparency, access to information, the consumers are going to be so demanding in the next 5 years. I thought about that and thought about all the change in healthcare that the consumers can demand on the system. They can drive costs down and improve our system. I thought about international partnerships and best practices. I thought a lot about in the healthcare system about what's going on with the government, how we need to structure more partnerships and see more balance between the private and public sector. So really, as I flew home the plane, I thought about a lot what Newt said. I thought about, as a citizen and leader, ways I could take that thinking as a conceptual framework and put it to use. To recap, I think that the comments today that Newt kind of reinforced to us about technology. Look for big investments. Look for ways to change your career. Look for things to be aware of technology. There's a lot of opportunities that we're not around. Go watch Shift Happens on YouTube. Shift Happens, great video to look at. Look at how fast we're seeing the mergers of China and India, and think about it not as a threat, but as maybe as a partnership, a strategic link, a best practice for your organization or your career. Think about just the emergence of the government's inability to sustain itself and ways we can partner with the government that can create new businesses and new institutions, and new companies through their inability to sustain itself. And then lastly, think about the demand of the consumer. And let's think about all the ways we can address that to really change our healthcare system. So I thought Newt did a great job laying out a framework, and I flew home thinking about it. I wanted to share with you because it was a great talk, and I really enjoyed his thoughts on that. I've been thinking about how can I deploy those myself as a healthcare leader. Thank you.